I'm going to tell you a quick little story called The Tiger and the Dog. And this relates to the Tim Talk I did about your heart having its own feelings, it's being its own being that you can relate to, how huge the heart is. Some of you know that many years ago now, in my 20s, I worked with wild animals, semi-wild animals in a place called Marine World, Africa, USA. And a place called the Alberta Game Farm in Canada, and a zoo called Cranon Park Zoo, or the Miami Zoo in Florida. It was a really powerful part of my life. I worked with chimps and elephants and tigers and lions, and I learned falconry. I worked with all kinds of birds of prey. I had a harpy eagle I worked with. These animals were in captivity. We did educational programs for schools, breeding programs, and they were highly, highly loved. And I know there's a lot of controversy around keeping animals in captivity, and I'm right with you. It's got to be done right, or it shouldn't be done at all. But part of the solution moving into the future, this is a little side note of this story, part of the future where we as humans are going to take on caretaking is we have to set up parks and zoos for breeding to bring animals back that have been put near extinction in the wild by humans. It's something we have to do. I've seen it done successfully. It can be done beautifully with honor and respect to the animal and all the situation around it, or it can be done in a horrible, ugly way. It has to be done right, like everything else we're talking about here on these Tim Talks. It has to be done with honor and integrity. But that is going to be an initial, very important part of the healing of our planet into the future, is being able to save enough species of animals that when land is protected and truly wild, animals can be released back into the wild. That's another side story, but a very important one that I'm very passionate about, because since my 20s, when I worked with chimps and elephants and tigers and lions and things, that's been in my life. And the thought around that has changed a lot in the 50 years since I did it. So, but I wanted to talk about show how huge the heart is and how you can relate to it. So when I was working at a park, Marine World, Africa, USA, I had a dog, a big dog. It was like a Rottweiler type dog. And I had, I worked with a tiger who, she loved me very much. I could walk her on a leash, and she had a baby, and I was there when the baby was born with my dog, who went everywhere with me, feeding all the animals and so forth. And he grew up with that baby. And as that baby tiger grew up, they became the best of friends. And tigers grow fast, up to 500 pounds in a couple of years. It's a huge animal, right? Think about that for a minute. The dog was, probably nearly about 80 pounds. So they became best of friends. I'm talking everywhere I went with the dog, the tiger wanted to go, and often, but not always, but often did go. And they'd play, they'd sleep together, they'd lick each other, love each other. It was a beautiful thing, the dog and the tiger. It was an interspecies relationship. It didn't have all the problems that come with those kind of things with it, because they were raised in a unique situation with me. Now, you could pick it apart all day long saying, oh, that's not right, that's not okay. That's not the point of this conversation. The point of this conversation is the love they shared. It was pure love. And I don't know how often you in your life have been lucky enough to experience pure love. But it really happens more often with animals and people than it does with people and people. And often dogs are the ones that we have this pure love for, or cats, our pets, who are so committed to us that it just stirs our hearts to the greatest places they could ever go. Now, so this dog and this tiger had that kind of feeling. And to learn this kind of love and be able to have it with another human, whether it's your child, your lover, your best friend, your parent, your family member, someone like that, To have that kind of love, one of the things that's so important is to be able to identify it as being sacred and keeping it alive by feeding it more love, by honoring it, not just having it happen accidentally and coming and going, but honoring it by giving it life, by giving it energy, by giving it attention in a good, healthy way. That's something, kind of another side note I wanted to throw in here. So one day I'm on the truck feeding different animals. We throw hay off the back with the dog and the tiger. And all of a sudden an accident happened and the dog fell off the truck and got run over. And it was just a devastating thing. We tried to save him. The tiger was right there, saw the whole thing. And we couldn't do it. We couldn't save him. We had a vet right there, in the park. But he died. And if that wasn't the worst of it, then I watched that tiger go down. And I could not save that tiger. No matter what I did, I couldn't bring him out of his funk for the loss of his dear friend, that dog. And it took a couple of months. He lost weight, he wouldn't eat, he wouldn't function. And one day I came in and he was dead. He passed away. And I know it was from sadness. I know it. And I witnessed that myself. And it never left me. The power of love, the power of the heart. And there's no way to fix that. It's a story. You just let it in and know it. And there was another story related to that. I don't know if it was a true story, but growing up at Thanksgiving, we'd always watch this show when I was a kid it was a movie called Where the Red Fern Grows. Where the Red Fern Grows. And it was about this guy who lived in the woods somewhere on a ranch, and he had two dogs that absolutely loved each other, just like the tiger and the dog. And he was out hunting one day, and the one dog got attacked by, I think it was a mountain lion. And he got injured. He died of his injury. And the other dog just could not live without him. And one day, the guy came out, and on the grave where he'd buried the dog was laying the dog that was his best friend, had died on top of him. And a red fern grew there. And that's why it was called Where the Red Fern Grows. And it was just such an example, again, of that, how huge the heart is. And think about it. Our earth has a heart. Every living being has a heart. And it's one of the greatest ways we can connect with all life, including ourselves. And it's that powerful that sometimes the wounds are so deep to it that we can't get beyond them. And when I say we, I mean not just people. I mean all living beings. So it's just something to observe here through this story. And to know as you walk through life about this beautiful thing called the heart, as you build your relationship up with it. Please don't ignore it. It won't let you do so. Build your relationship with your heart. And look for all these beautiful stories everywhere. And see how it expresses itself in our world. I truly believe probably the reason we're still here and all the craziness that human beings bring to the planet is our heart. Our heart still allows us to see the good in things, find the good in things, and be the good. Oh.